Pop culture is more than just entertainment. It's a lens into society, relationships, and human behavior. I'm Grace, and here on the Grace Report, we dive into stories beyond. Pop culture is more than just entertainment. It's a lens into society, relationships, and human behavior. I'm Grace, and here on the Grace Report, we dive into stories beyond the headlines. Whether it's reality TV drama, celebrity scandals, or royal family intrigue, I'm here to break it all down. What it means, why it matters, and how it reflects the world we live in. Join the conversation, share your take, and let's make sense of the culture shaping our lives one story at a time. Good morning, sunshine. Can I tell you, if you were a channel member, get ready to be fed after this morning report. Get ready to be fed. I have some very juicy, exclusive tea for you guys, complete with receipts and everything, okay? I had to tell you that before I forget. But how are you guys feeling today? Listen, America, I don't know how y'all do it. Like, it is always one thing or another, some violent, catastrophe happening over there. And I really, really very much do feel for you guys. I heard something about like 2 people dying in Colorado or something like that. And I know there's been several cases happening over the past several months and whatnot, but Lord, when does a country get tired of people dying for no reason? It's absolutely insane. I'm seeing a lot of comments about that Charlie Kirk guy. So he's like a far right political commentator who got shot in the neck. He was doing some kind of rally, ironically enough, defending people having access to guns, whether or not they have bad records, whether they have been violent in the past, whether they've got mental issues or whatever. He says everybody should have access to guns. In fact, he also said, maybe not specifically at this rally, but he has also said that, in response to children being, killed in mass shootings every other day over there, he said, you know what, it's kind of worth it to have a cost of, unfortunately, some gun deaths every single year so that we can have the Second Amendment rights to protect our other God-given rights. So this is what he really stood for, right? Giving people unfettered access to guns so they can go ahead, shoot people, and people could die for no damn reason. And ironically enough, he died for no damn reason yesterday as well. So not really much to say there other than wow. I did read something from Jezebel that was so freaky. Y'all, I love, I love Jezebel. I thought that they got like run out of business a couple of years ago. So now hearing that, not only are they actually back and thriving, but there was this crazy article that was written by a writer there who had said something. What did she say? And this was prior to Charlie Kirk getting shot in the neck. She said that she had paid some Etsy witches to curse him. And she was very clear in this article. I know they're going to try to turn it around and act like she asked for him to be like deleted or anything like that. No, she simply said that she wanted for him to have like a permanent zit, or for people to not like him, or for his podcast microphone to not work or whatever, right? Oh my Lord, have mercy. Can you imagine going from writing that article, like it's just tongue in cheek, ha ha ha, having fun, to this person being deleted? And now everybody's looking at you like, what the hell did you do? Right? So Jezebel did have to write some sort of an update saying that they do not advocate for violence or anything like that. And again, if you read the article, it's very clear that this is not at all what the writer wanted. The writer just wanted him to have like, minor inconveniences, like, again, permanent zit, people not liking him, podcast microphone not working. She had also said that she wanted for him to have like an overgrown thumb or something so that he couldn't tweet his BS anymore. Lord have mercy. What kind of timeline are we living in, and how do we get out of this? It's just too much mess. And mind you, I know a lot of people are debating about whether or not you should feel bad for this guy who advocated for this kind of senseless violence. And people are talking about empathy this, empathy that. Don't forget, this person that you are, crying over or whatever could not stand the word empathy. And I quote, "I think empathy is a made up new age term and it does a lot of damage." You know what else does a lot of damage, Charlie? Bullets and guns that people have for no damn reason. Anyway, let's get into our next story, you guys. Lord, I'm so happy to be able to just move, not move past this, but just get this out there and, keep it moving. Because listen, things are not going to change. People don't want things to change over there. So what is there to even say? Let's get into the Justin Baldoni of it all, you guys. So Justin Baldoni, I keep telling y'all, something in the buttermilk is not clean with this man and whatever's going on with Blake Lively. Blake Lively made some very, very serious allegations against him. And, he tried to file his own countersuit against her. That one got thrown out. The judge scolded him and his legal team. His legal team has acted very misogynistic towards Blake Lively. And now come to find out there is somebody else who is ready to potentially come forward and testify against Justin Baldoni. People magazine got access to a sworn declaration by a person whose name was redacted in the declaration, but they said that they, quote, had repeated negative interactions with Mr. Baldoni and his associates, including verbal abuse by Justin Baldoni himself. The trial between Blake Lively and Justin Baldoni is scheduled for March 2026. So honestly, it's crazy to even think that March 2026 is only a couple months from now. Listen, where does the time go, right? The accuser says that they requested that Justin Baldoni not be involved in a project's marketing or PR. So it's similar to what it is that Blake Lively did, which is to shut Justin Baldoni out of some sort of publicity involving a film or a television show that they had worked on together. We don't know who this person is. I know a lot of people are going to say or think that potentially this person is linked to Blake Lively. Who really knows, right? But just an FYI that something else is coming out potentially soon about Justin Baldoni by another actor. Milan, where'd you been, girl? I've been missing you. I'm like, Milan, where'd you go? How are you? I hope everything's good on your end. And by the way, yes, today is September 11th. So lots of thoughts and prayers to all of my American co-reporters on this very, very sad and heavy day. Today just feels so, oh Lord, right? And I'm so burnt out. I have been running around like crazy, trying to prepare for my trip on Sunday and whatnot, like go nonstop. Hopefully you guys are doing okay and finding little joyous moments in your day because this is going to be a hard one. September 11th is always a hard day in America, isn't it? Thank you so much for all the love you're sending me on TikTok, Tyrell. You're so sweet. Hamlet's Princess says, in a positive note, the person in front of me bought my coffee for me. Isn't that beautiful? Listen, let's get some good little positive moments going on, today, because it's heavy. It's a heavy, heavy, dark day. Lots going on. Lots of despair in the air. And I'm really hoping that things change for the better soon. Thanks, Cynthia. I love this. I have to get this in every color. I want to get it in like a maroon color, like a Bordeaux color. That would be so fun. Winnie the Cat says, a man was shot for the content he created. A lot of crazy Janelle fans feel the same way about the gossip creators. When does it stop? Exactly. Well, here's the thing. Like, that's the whole point of the whole gun control. People should not have access to guns. Like, what is with this country and guns? That's where it ends, essentially. East Austin says, imagine how crazy someone like Justin Baldoni has to be for people to complain about him. Hotties usually get away with a lot. Well, that's the thing, right? Like, pretty privilege is a very, very real thing. The halo effect is a very, very real thing. So, for all of these things to start coming out or whatnot, like, in the background of things is quite alarming. I'm disappointed. I've told you guys, I've seen this guy, I've met him, like, when I used to do work at those award shows and whatnot. He seemed like a really lovely, really kind, really charismatic person. But the more information that comes out, like the more I'm like, oh my God, like what really is happening behind the scenes? You really never know a person, right? Good morning, Matt. Good morning, Michelle. Good morning, everybody. Hopefully your day is off to a really good start, despite all of the heaviness and the hardship going on around the world. Ronnie, really exciting news for your 3-year-old. So glad. That's so early. Look at you. Nice. Look. Love to see it. It's all about the small victories on days like this, isn't it? Now, speaking of small victories, Chantel from 90 Day Fiancé, she is getting a reduction. Her bosoms have been the topic of conversation for quite a while in the 90 Day Fiancé universe. And, she's been talking about it quite a bit herself, how she's had certain pains from having an enlarged chest area. And I wanted to let her explain it for herself. She shot a whole video, which to me indicates that this might have been some sort of a sponsored or paid collaboration with the surgeon who is going to be working on her. So take a look as she brings us along behind the scenes of her breast reduction consultation.
Hey guys, I wanted to share something really personal with you. I've decided to move forward with my breast reduction surgery. This is something that I've thought long and hard about, and I finally feel ready. I started travel nursing again, and recently I've been on my feet all day, and it's made me realize that my back and shoulders hurt. That has pushed me to finally make this decision for my health and for my quality of life. I chose Dr. Barron with the breast, body, beauty, plastics, and reconstructive surgery team because she's a woman who really understands women's bodies. She's a board-certified plastic surgeon who's done many breast surgeries and is really connected with the work she's done for other women, especially women of color, which has made me feel comfortable and confident in trusting her with my breasts. This isn't just about looks for me. It's about feeling good in my body and being able to work and live without constant pain. I'm a little nervous, but I feel so much more at peace knowing that I made the right decision. Thank you all for always supporting me. It means so much more than you know. I'll keep you posted on the updates on this journey.
Her, she did talk a lot about how uncomfortable it was, and I can only imagine. Y'all know me, I have a very, very modest bosom, so I don't know nothing about that, but I have heard a lot of story for those of you who have a more generous helping. So shout out to you guys. You got to do what you got to do to feel comfortable, right? Wow, that's so cool. My birthday twin. You're my first birthday twin. I love that. Wait, actually, you're my second one. My first birthday twin that I ever met is Kempire's manager, actually. So that's really cool. Listen, our birthday falls on a Sunday, so we won't be doing the morning report, but I'll be sure to wish you a happy birthday when we're back. Okay, Boo? Thanks for popping out of the bushes to let me know. Theo, some of the stuff coming out about Justin Baldoni is that somebody said that Justin Baldoni used to be very verbally abusive to him when they worked together on a certain project behind the scenes. He said that his interactions with Justin Baldoni were generally rather negative and just very kind of like mean-spirited. So it seems like more and more things are lining up against Justin Baldoni. I remember I did a prior update for you guys that kind of showed a little bit more about things heading in Blake Lively's direction, but I forgot what exactly it was. The judge really does not like Justin Baldoni. That thing is clear. He's been poking a lot of holes in a lot of things that Justin Baldoni and his team have been submitting. So listen, it's going to be a very, very uphill battle for him. East Awesome says, Grace, I woke up with a headache and my aunt passed away last week. I'm so sorry to hear that. Oh my God, that's absolutely devastating. Flying down to Florida in a few hours for tomorrow's funeral. Wake me up when September ends. Oh my God, East Awesome, you are going through so much this month, and I'm really, 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 truly sorry to hear that. My heart breaks for you and for your family. May your aunt rest in peace, and may you have a safe trip to Florida for the funeral. I'm telling you guys, it's heavy. Do whatever you can to feel good, to get your spirits back up, because it has been a really, really, really rough ride. So sorry, East Awesome. Listen, just 2.5 more weeks until this month is over. Thank God. Kate says, good for her. They look so painful and heavy. Being heavy chested is the worst, right? Doesn't it feel kind of like harsh for the back and whatnot? Lord, and I kind of felt bad for Shantel as well, because I felt like people were very weirdly objectifying her around her body. I know Exactly. By the way, East Awesome Tyrell on TikTok says it's a Green Day song. Wonder if he's trying to add humor to the hectic. And I used to love that song as well. What a throwback. Man, I forgot what I was saying. Oh yes, I felt like people used to objectify Chantel a lot in the 90 Day Fiance community when they were trying to link her to Drake and whatnot because of her chest. I don't know why when a woman has a naturally generous chest area, people feel like they can comment on it or actualize it or whatever, but it's not cool. And so I think that this is also going to help her be able to ward off those kinds of lecherous people as well. Can I ask you guys, are you watching that, or were you watching, because they're already in the reunion, so the season's over, but were you watching that show 90 Day Fiance Hunt for Love or something like that? Because in that show, her mom turns on her or something like that. The whole thing is so freaking weird. And I'm kind of curious to know what you guys thought about it overall. And, I forgot to ask you guys at the top of this episode, but did you get to watch Love is Blind in France? Because it just debuted on Netflix, right? This is the first ever season. So freaking exciting. And I got to watch an episode yesterday, and I'm looking forward to talking about that with you. I know it just came out. There's a lot going on this week, so I'm not going to give you spoilers really about who paired up with who, but I am looking forward to at least talking a little bit about what's going on in the Love is Blind France universe, okay? So listen, you guys, I'm about to take a little bit of a break to give you guys a word from some of our sponsors, okay? And when we come back, we're going to have to listen to Kail herself complain about her custody agreement. I was trying to say agreement and arrangement at the same time. So Kail and Javi, they worked out their own custody arrangement. Kail gets the majority of time with Lincoln. She gets Lincoln throughout the entire school year. Javi only gets him during the summer, which is 1.5 months to 2 months or something like that. And he gets holidays and long weekends in order to make up for the discrepancy in time. And now Kail is on her podcast and she's whining about it. And oh Lord, when I tell y'all the comment section, if you guys have a moment, maybe you're bored, maybe you're on the toilet, maybe you're doing something, but you're not, right? At the same time, and you need to distract your time, go read the comment section of Kail's podcast episodes. She's been absent for a while, so nobody's really been checking for them like that. But she came back to the Friend of Me podcast with Becky called Karma and Chaos. Go look at the comment section. They're dragging our girl. Because in that one, and we talked about this in yesterday's episode of the Morning Report, but in that particular episode, Kail kept on, talking about wanting to delete herself if she was not happy with the results of her neck lift. And, just in 20 years, she just keeps on talking about it and people have had enough. The comments were like, Kail, stop doing this. This is not funny. This is very triggering. This is gross, right? And so now this new episode of Coffee Convos, people are dragging her again. They're saying, Kail, how are you never happy? You dragged Javi through court forever so that you could get those school years with Lincoln. You got what you wanted. You got the majority. He was the one crying, Javi, as being he, because he didn't get as much time as you did. And now here you are back and crying about it, crying about the thing that you wanted. And, it's ridiculous, right? People truly are absolutely over it. So like I said, listen, we're got a word from some of our sponsors. And then on the flip side, well, I'm going to tee it up here on my iPhone, right? Which means I'm going to have to end my TikTok live. So TikTok friends, please come join us over on YouTube. I'm going to give you the time, Grace Report over on YouTube. And we're going to listen to it together there because it's on my iPhone. So stick around. If you're enjoying today's episode of the show, please don't hesitate to go ahead and give it a thumbs up so YouTube knows you enjoy my content. And I'll be right back so you can listen to Kail in her own voice complain about the current custody agreement that she got and fought for with Javi. All right. So let me go ahead and this on TikTok. See you on YouTube and put up the ad for you guys. The Morning Report is brought to you by Philo. Watch your favorite shows and movies from over 70 different channels, including MTV, TLC, WeTV, and more for only $28 a month. Get a free trial today by clicking the link in the description box of this video to get your free trial up and running. Tired of learning languages in boring, frustrating ways? Try TalkPal. TalkPal is your personal AI language tutor.
It teaches you languages in fun, engaging ways. It gives you real-time feedback, assesses your pronunciation, and the learning process is personalized just for you. Join millions of other learners and start your language learning journey today.
All right, and we are back. Hopefully some of my TikTok friends have joined us over here on YouTube, and I am officially ready to play you guys the audio from Kail's episode of Coffee Combos podcast that dropped today, where she is now complaining about the custody agreement that she and Javi have in place. All right, I really want to know what y'all think about this. Live chat, please let me know in the chat, and playback posse, let me know in the comment section how you feel about Kail's latest comment. Here goes.
Your summer and it being the first summer without Lincoln, and how you feel like the custody arrangement is going.
Okay. Here are my thoughts. Collective thought so far is I'm happy with, I don't know if happy is the right word. I'm fine with it. I'll make it work. It was really hard to do trips without Lincoln because they don't feel complete. They don't feel whole. It also is hard to do them without the babies, but the babies, I know a ton of people always ask me why I don't bring the babies. Well, because it's not fun for the older kids when we have to schedule around nap times and bottles and this, that, and the third. There will come a time where they'll be old enough to come. It's not complete without Lincoln. And then we did South Carolina first, and then we did Virginia after that. It was actually upsetting because then it would be like, oh, remember when we did this in South Carolina? And it was like, oh, never, like, you weren't there. Like, never mind. Like, that is heartbreaking because obviously don't want Lincoln to feel left out. I also don't want him to feel left out. So it was hard, but it was also, and then the other part of that is like, okay, I really sat down and like thought about every single long weekend, every single break. When am I taking my son on vacation then? Mm-hmm. Like, when does he get to, because you're getting every single long break. So it's not like I could take him away for like a long weekend or something. It's like, and then in the past, Javi has been very flexible, pretty convenient. You know, when they went to Costa Rica and then we were going to Disney and then we were going to Spain, Javi never gave me a hard time about pulling Lincoln out of school. And, you know, we were pretty aligned on that. Like, as long as Lincoln is up to date on all his stuff, like, it didn't really, I don't want to say it didn't matter, but it wasn't super impactful because Lincoln would do whatever he could online. He was in good standing, whatever. With this new arrangement, with him having every long weekend, every holiday break, Christmas, Thanksgiving, spring break, like, that's first of all, a lot of time in the car. Like, we're driving almost 2.5 hours to the meeting place and then driving 2.5 hours back to turn around and do it again in 2 or 3 days. I think what's going to end up happening is that it's not really going to work out.
I think what'll end up happening is it'll work out for like the longer stretch breaks where you're not having to do the 2.5 hours there and then that back within 3 days. But I don't really think that's going to be conducive for a 3-day weekend.
When you're looking at the situation of driving 2.5 hours back and forth, Javi has other kids, I have other kids. So considering all of them collectively, it's a lot to ask of me, and it's a lot to ask of Javi and Lauren, you know, to figure out what to do with the other kids for a minimum of 5 hours twice in one weekend. So yes, I understand that this is not about the other kids, but on a Friday after school, it impacts all of us. Like, we are talking about a minimum of 5 hours in the car, there and back. Twice, because we're going 2.5 hours there, 2.5 hours home, turning around and doing it again in 3 days. This is not, and then I'm thinking to myself, and I haven't talked to Javi about it yet, but like this weekend, for example, Lincoln has a doubleheader on Saturday starting at 9 a.m. And then he has a flag football game on Sunday. Cool. So that's 3 games in 2 days. What are we doing on the long weekends that he's with Javi? He's just going to miss them?
I was going to ask you that about the sports situation. Does the sports obligations that have been agreed upon, I'm assuming that y'all are agreeing for those signups, right?
Yep.
I personally, I could be wrong, but I don't think Javi would be the dad to be like, well, he can just miss those games. I think you do have one dad that would be like that, but I don't think Javi's going to be like that.
I just wonder what his plan is. Obviously, I haven't talked to him about it.
Right.
His parents, his sister. So that's helpful.
What do you think about maybe talking to Javi about the 3-day weekends if Lincoln's playing sports, like spending time with Javi's parents locally?
Yeah.
But I think that's a good, like, meet in the middle, right? Like,
I agree with you, but you know they're not going to agree with that.
Well, you know what? Maybe they will shock and surprise us. Did you see that case about the University of Kentucky? I think she was like on the stunt team.
So there you go, you guys. Now she is unhappy. She feels like she doesn't get to see Lincoln enough, and that she doesn't get to take him on any real holidays because of the setup of the custody agreement. So that is with the exception of this summer where they got to go. I think they went to Madrid because of Lincoln's soccer or football or something like that, right? And like I said, she's getting dragged in the comment section of that podcast because people feel like it's unfair that she drags them through court, not wanting like an even split. She wants the full school year. She gets it. But of course, it comes with certain drawbacks, and she's not happy with the drawbacks. So now we're supposed to go back to the drawing board and, redo the whole thing, right? Can I just say, you guys, and by the way, hey, Justice, nice to see you popping over from TikTok. And I'm so glad you got to see. I really loved, I think Justice was always talking about the Hollywood Demons. Wasn't that so well done? I really enjoyed it. It was a surprise to me too. I wasn't expecting to see myself there. So thanks so much for that. Such a lovely message. There's some things about Kail's messaging here that is really kind of iffy to me because, and I agree, Lucky, by the way, I hope you had a great, how was your lunch with your mom and your shopping and everything? It was recently Lucky's birthday. I haven't seen you since your B-Day. I hope you had a good time celebrating. So Kail is like, I'm not getting enough time. But mind you, Kail has been, for a couple of weeks out of the year so far, she's been going to get these certain things done, surgeries that keep her in hotel rooms and hospitals and whatnot, right? This is taking time away from the kids, right? And then on top of that, and I've got the photos, I'm about to download them and upload them here on StreamYard for you guys. Kail is off to Texas, where according to an inside source of mine, she is spending 10 days harassing her deadbeat father for information about like his paternity, right? Like who his real biological parents are and stuff like that, right? She wants certain closure and whatnot. This is a 10-day trip, you guys. You're complaining that you don't get your kid enough, but you're off to take this 10-day trip. You're spending all this downtime in between all of your surgeries. You've got this out-of-state boyfriend that you're going back and forth with. According to my inside source, Lincoln and the rest of the kids, they're being kept by a babysitter, not even their own fathers, but a babysitter, while she goes off to Texas to hunt down her meat pad locker father, deadbeat father, right? She just posted it over here. She showed that she had landed in Dallas and that this is going to be an emotional roller coaster of a trip. When I initially saw her posting about this, I really did think that it was only going to be like a 24 to 48 hour sort of a thing, that the kids were with their respective fathers, but come to find out, according to my source, that is not the case, right? So this is something that Javi and Chris and, her other baby daddies complain about. I imagine Joe complains about it as well, is that Kail paints a certain image of herself on social media, right? That she's there for all the sports games, all of the practices, but that's not the case in real life. There are other people who show up to these things for her. They take photos for her so that she could post it online to make people think that she was actually there, but that is not the case, right? So this is the photo that she shared on her Instagram. It says, my bio dad is on hospice, so my sister and I plan to see him. I met him one time on 16 and Pregnant. I have a lot of questions, although he may not be responsive. Listen, I think she has every right to go ahead and get answers or try to, have a last ditch conversation with her father on his deathbed. But, like I said, the way that she spends her time and then cries about not having enough of it is very, very interesting and hypocritical to me, in my personal, humble opinion. I really want to know what y'all have to say about it. So let me go ahead and see in the live chat. Let me see. How do y'all feel about Kail wanting to go back and rework? And how long have they even had this custody situation for? It hasn't really been on for a long time because, it feels like just yesterday, the two of them were on that podcast. What was it? Barely Famous or something like that, talking about this particular arrangement, right? And now here we are already unhappy with it. Very interesting stuff, but I digress, right? Yes, Acacia, she's about to make money off this podcast with her dad. Absolutely, right? And my inside source says that that's exactly what she said. She wants to do this for content. She doesn't genuinely really care because she's never had this man in her life, right? To really care one way or another about him. But she knows that people are really interested in this deadbeat story and want to follow it along. Good morning, Amelia Bedelia. Hope you're having a great day. Paprika says, Kail is so sad. I wish you can get whatever she needs to heal. Baby after baby will not make you happy. I wish she turned out to be a cat lady instead of this. Listen, her life would be a million times easier if she just decided to be a cat lady. Terry says, woohoo, I can't wait for Elliot to tell us the real deal like Jace is. Yup. Don't be surprised if one of them goes rogue. Do I think that Elliot would be the one too? That's a good question though. I think he's kind of like, I don't know, like remember when he did the coming out episode? It seems like they're really, really, really close. So I don't know that I would see him doing it particularly, but I wouldn't be surprised if like Alexa Creed or a Rio were to give us the scoop. Acacia says Kail just loves to make herself seem like she's a great parent. And that's what it kind of feels like, right? When you hear the behind the scenes of what like things really are like with her and who's watching these kids, when, you know, it's being portrayed as if she is, like, it makes you wonder a lot of things. Darrell says she didn't want peace. She wanted Chris and Javi to stop talking about her and spilling the tea. Good point. We talked about this a little bit earlier in the week. I think it was Monday or Tuesday's episode of the Morning Report, where Kail was on social media, quote unquote, waving the white flag, talking about how she wants peace with her baby daddies. And now look, here we are dragging them. And Javi's not the only one she dragged on this week's Coffee Convos episode. She actually did also come for Chris as well. Perhaps Joe. And we're going to talk about that too. So thank you for reminding me of that. Oh my God. So, okay, listen. Lucky, let me go back to your prior comment. Again, it was Lucky's birthday earlier this week, and she says that she had a great time, went to a crab boil restaurant. I love that. Delicious. Of course, we'd ask. Of course, we're so curious. We wanted to hear all the goods about your birthday. And her mom also surprised her with a Nickelodeon birthday cake. Yes, that is so freaking cute. I'm glad you had the best day. Two Snaps says, I hate Kail. She's insufferable, unbearably. Listen, I cannot imagine co-parenting with somebody like that. It seems like an absolute nightmare, especially when the hypocrisy is happening. It's playing out in public, right? And they're trying to make you seem like you're selfish. You're not a nice parent. Meanwhile, behind the scenes, they're screwing somebody in another state, running back and forth. They have no problem with that. But you know, being away for work, you know, in the army or whatever, and blah, blah, that's a problem, right? Like she could take time, like it's crazy to me, but I digress. Terry says she changed her mind so much. It's such a waste of money. I agree. Ashley, I agree too. Very, very, very tiring. Also, Lucky, headache indeed. Hamlet's Princess says it's all how it isn't fair to get, but wait. It is all how it isn't fair to get, but what about to Javi? This is karma coming back. And I agree. Listen, you get the school year. There are so many opportunities to do these little trips during the school year. And she and Javi seem to have a pretty decent relationship to where they can work together to have these joint vacations that are joint but not joint. You know, maybe both families want to go to the same place, and then they could share time with Lincoln, splitting, you know, between those things. But again, these are the risks of this type of, you know, family structure that Kail has, right? With Javi, they were married and whatnot. But mind you, weren't they like pregnant within like months of dating and then married within like a year or something like that? Like when you're moving relationships along really, really quickly, especially when you're like Kail and you're bringing children into every single relationship and situationship, these are the kinds of, you know, problems and difficulties that you kind of subject yourself to, right? So this is only the beginning. I wouldn't be surprised if this were to happen with other baby daddies or whatnot. Like it just seems like a complete and utter nightmare in general. Okay. So Kail did also fill us in on some of the work that she had done. I think it was like a neck lift or something like that. But she did also say that she had some of her glands taken out. Are any of you guys medical people? Because what are the glands, right? She said that she has always had rather heavy glands, and so she needed to have them removed. And that would also help with the contouring of her face to make her face look thinner. And the surgeon also had to correct and remove some scar tissue left from the double chin liposuction she had back in the day as well. So the surgery was longer than Kail thought it would ultimately end up being. And then she complained about another baby daddy of hers. She said it wasn't Javi, and I don't think it was Elijah. But she says that she's got a baby daddy. So this could be either Joe or Chris. My money is on Chris, that thinks that he should not be responsible for anything involving co-parenting if the child is not like on his time, right? So it's like, okay, if we're having like 80-20 time and something happens to the child during the 20% and, you know, Kail needs his help or whatever, he's not going to show up because that's not during his parenting time, which I find to be very unfortunate, right? And if it's Chris, I'm especially disgusted because Chris spends a lot of time on social media complaining about how like he doesn't get any time, he doesn't get any responsibility when it comes to his kid. So the idea, right, that that Kail could be extending an olive branch behind the scenes to try and give him some time or whatnot. And he's like, no, I'm not doing it because it's not during like my allotted time. Like that would be very hypocritical and weird on his end as well. You guys, I'm feeling so dehydrated today. I cannot drink enough water today. Every sip of water I'm drinking, and I feel thirstier than I did like a second ago. I don't know what's happening. What can I put in my water to actually make it quench my thirst? Terry, this is a very good point and comment you leave here. So I had just told you guys, so shout out to those of you guys who are just joining us now. Shout out to those of you in the bushes. Hopefully you're not in the rose bushes because they do have thorns. But Terry says, was it like a buckle? Because Kail was saying that she had to get, hang on, what did I say? She had to get some glands taken out. So Terry is wondering if that is hint for like a buccal fat pad. A lot of celebrities and just people in general have been enjoying they've been getting a lot of buccal fat removal. So you see, if your fave went from having a really cute, like, you know, kind of full face to now it's the buccal fat pad, right? So, you know, Terry, maybe, right? I haven't seen any evidence of that, but you know what? Maybe because of her structure, it didn't collapse her face, because there are some people who needed that buccal fat pad removal and it sculpted them well. And then there are people who didn't need it and it just has them looking sunken in and hollow and like haunting, right? But very, very good thought there. 2 snaps. Damn. Hey, Carly. Carly says she needs help. Y'all can't stand her. Vivian says she cannot stand Petty Betty. Now that's a throwback. Vivian's an OG. You know, whenever you guys like throw Petty Betty or other like things from back in the day, I'm like, yep, that's an OG right there. Terry says electrolytes. Where can I get these? Because, you know, I don't do anything. Y'all know I don't drink. I haven't drank in like ages. But I'm just so dehydrated. And all I do is drink water. I don't even drink juice. Maybe it's the coffee. I had a nice coffee. Acacia says, I wouldn't be surprised if she tried to get back with Chris. Ooh, Lord. If ever these two were to get back together, I would be ready to fight both of them. I truly would. After the way that they have been so obsessively harassing each other across podcasts and social networks. Can you imagine the two of them getting back together? Ah! Jaleesa, by the way, that reminds me, I had bookmarked another comment that you left me earlier, Boo. Jaleesa says, I sent you something from V's podcast that made my ears perk up. I did see an excerpt from V's podcast. Was it about blind loyalty, the Chisme Corner? Because I do think that if that's the one you're talking about, she probably was talking about Alessandra, because she and Alessandra fell out. She unfollowed Alessandra on social media. Thank God. Listen, I don't think Alessandra's a good friend, right? The way that she just has been lapdogging to Kail, you know, even after Kail dogged her friend V out, called V a fake, you know, crappy stepmom, just using her and all this stuff, like, you know, as a best friend, like to be like just so up in her Kail's face, all up on her podcast, traveling with her and doing all these things like publicly, like, yeah, I would have canceled her too if I were V, right? Ooh, Pedialyte. Maybe I gotta get something, y'all. I'm feeling so damn thirsty. Thanks for all of your suggestions. I think Tyrell also said maybe get some liquid IV. I gotta see where I can find this stuff. I need something. Baby says, add some sea salt to your water, just a pinch. And oh, and I got some sea salt as a gift, a souvenir. I'll add that. Don says, watching from the Colorado wildflowers. Meet the live. I love that. Nice to see you, Don. What a beautiful place to be. So I also wanted to bring something up to you guys that I thought would kind of tickle you a little bit. Do you guys remember when Kail was dating Elijah? She always let it be known. And if you suffer through my podcast recaps, God bless you, right? But she always let it be known that this man was dying to marry her. He had asked her over and over and over again. She kept on saying no. And then one time when she finally started saying yes and accepted the ring and everything, he had proposed in the bathroom. She was like brushing her teeth or something, getting ready. And in comes Elijah with a box and a ring in it. It says, here, marry me. She goes, I bet. And puts it on, right? So she talked about like how she just did not want to be married. She'd been married, she'd been divorced, and it just ruined the way that she looked at love and relationships and marriage, right? She doesn't want the government involved in her relationships, right? But now, all of a freaking sudden, in today's episode of the Coffee Convos podcast, here she is talking about if a man doesn't know if he wants to marry me within a year, then I'm out. That's not the relationship for me. I'm so confused. I was listening to this girl talk about how she just did not want to be married again. She had to be dragged, her teeth twisted, or whatever the expression is, to accept a proposal from Elijah, right? Who was supposedly somebody she loved. And now here we are talking about the next guy has to propose to me within a year. And so here's my thing. You would think that somebody who went through a divorce and who was very upset by the divorce, right, swore off marriage again. And then a guy kept on begging and begging and begging and begging and begging her to marry him, made her believe that it could be possible for her, right, to have like a healthy relationship, a healthy marriage, just to turn around and cheat on her, and for all of that to blow up publicly. How does somebody go from these kinds of like big heartbreaks and then this big betrayal to now saying, I have to be married and the guy has to propose within a year? Like, what part of this relationship with Elijah made her so eager to get married all of a sudden? I always said that this guy was not for her. She didn't actually profoundly love him. The way she spoke about him made it obvious. And the way that she kept on pining over her ex, well, is he even her ex? Chris Lopez, right? Like, it always seemed like she was still in love with Chris Lopez, right? So I think that overall, what she was really telling us over the past 2 years was that she specifically did not want to marry Elijah, right? Like, Kail is the marrying type. It just was not to Elijah. And I'm going to maintain this. I actually do think she was relieved when he cheated on her, so that it meant that she could stop trying to force herself to be with him, right? She probably just needed a reason to get out and didn't want to be made fun of again because yeah, right? Oh, thank you. Listen, y'all, I am so tired. My brain is fried. And thank you. Teeth pulled. Yes. And so now you guys, I'm seeing you guys in the comments section. May is like, listen, it's either her new boo wants a ring. I could see Kail down on one knee proposing to that man. Mainly to Chris, but maybe to that man too, right? And then May also says she's probably engaged already. Do you guys think that that's what she's signaling, that she could potentially already be engaged, or that her new boyfriend, the fisherman, could potentially want to be engaged to her or want to marry her? I wouldn't be surprised. Guys, I really do not think she was truly attracted to Elijah. I don't think she was in love with Elijah, and that is why she was screaming this from the rooftops. And now all of a sudden she has completely done an about face. Typically, after being engaged to somebody who begged you for an engagement, promised they'd never break your heart or whatever, only for them to be cheating on you, like, and you've got newborn twins at home, like, it just doesn't make sense to me that you go from that to, oh my God, I need to like quickly marry somebody. Like, that's so weird, right? Winnie the Cat says, think she would make them get a prenup. Oh, absolutely. If she's smart, make them get a prenup. Can I ask you, people who are married, did you get a prenup or no? Because I think a lot of people think you have to be rich to have a prenup. I'm just curious. But, when you have Kail type of money and you're dating the types of guys that Kail's dating, guys that are not really making anywhere near that type of money, you get yourself a damn prenup. But if you guys are two regular people or whatever, no major assets or anything like that, or equal assets between the two of you, I don't know that I would bother. Adela says, all of this is giving manic episode, especially yesterday's episode of that Frenemies podcast, where she was talking about, if I don't like my neck lift results, I'm going to delete myself. And she just kept on saying it over and over and over again. Two Snap says Kail just likes to hear her own voice. Well, isn't that the name of the podcasting game? It's just a bunch of people who want to hear their own voices. And I agree. Payday says Kail's a lost soul with a crap load of kids. Sad story. I agree. Julia, my Italian Julia, says, not buongiorno, not the Elijah graphic. Listen, I had to make sure y'all knew who I was talking about. He looks like a dog. Damn. Y'all never liked Elijah either, right? May says, hard to get to know someone when you raw dog day one. Exactly. That's why I do not understand why she giggles off the fact that she had a neighbor to her house. She thought he was hot, so she opened up the back porch, let him in without any kind of protection. Like, that's crazy to me. That is insane. That is just such filthy behavior. That is such irresponsible behavior. And you already know that you've got so many damn kids, and that your son, not Elijah, what is his name? He goes by Elliot now. That your son does not want you to have any more kids. He's tired of these babies coming in dropped off from, every Tom, Dick, and Harry in the neighborhood. It's just insane to me, but I digress. Again, you guys, Kail is spending 10 days in Dallas, Texas, trying to get answers from her estranged father. He was a deadbeat. He had nothing to do with her. She met him one singular time, and it was captured on MTV cameras for all to witness. He is currently in hospice. I forgot what it was exactly that he was dealing with, but he might not be responsive. But she really wants to get some answers for her podcast, for her TikTok, for her Instagram and whatnot. According to my inside source, she has left the children with some babysitters so that she can go off and do this. Listen, I don't understand why the kids aren't with their fathers. Why do they have to be with babysitters for 10 days? Do you guys have like these kinds of do you guys have like custody agreements and whatnot with like your co-parents if you guys are separated from the other parents of your child? Do you guys have these agreements that say if you're not able to watch our child, I have first right of refusal sort of a thing? Like, they have to come to me. Like, it kind of feels like that's something that should be in an arrangement, right? Like, if this is your time with the kids and you can't have them, you should have to give them back to me. And if I can't, then, with a family member, before it has to be some sort of like a babysitter sort of situation. It just feels very odd to me, but I digress. When he says maybe he's a lot like her and just tends to put himself over everything. Apple doesn't fall far, really. Well, listen, that's exactly what he was, right? He didn't show up to be a father because he is selfish. AG says her dad isn't going to be responsive. I don't think so either. And listen, he might even be responsive, but he just might pretend that he's not responsive because he's not trying to answer these damn questions with your mic in his face. You know what I mean? Just saying. Let's see, what else do we have? Yes, guys, it is filthy. Please do not run around letting people raw dog you like this. There are many diseases out there. Kail caught a disease, behaving like this in the past. I wouldn't be surprised if there were other ones that she caught and she just has not publicly disclosed them since. But, there are very serious diseases out there. Some of them are incurable. So do not do this. It's very, very reckless and irresponsible. And you know what? Her story is actually thinking about this. I'm gonna be back soon with these. Keep an eye out. Probably in early October. Okay, boo? Early October. Sweet Bonjour says, my ex acts like Chris. I can't get him to do anything with R2. Ouch. I'm so sorry to hear that, Sweet Bonjour. Oh, Lord have mercy. Bless you guys having a co-parent with a nightmare of a co-parent. It just cannot be fun at all. I can't imagine. Now we're back to the prenup talk. Kristen says, my husband and I didn't, but we've been together since we were barely 18. We built this whole life together, right? I feel like in cases like that, what's the point? You're coming in on equal footing. You've both put in equal work. It's kind of pointless at that point. But when it comes to Kail, you've got like millions of dollars. You've got like 7 kids to be looking out for, and your man, he only has a fishing rod and a mattress on the floor, no bed frame. Yeah, go ahead and get that prenup. Go ahead and get that prenup, boo. Jeez. Anyway, Julissa says, I think Chris's kids have a sitter and probably Lincoln because Javi is far. So, yeah, honestly, I would hope that Isaac is with his father, Joe, as well, because I'm just not seeing that being reasonable for Isaac to also be with a babysitter. Again, Julissa and the rest of my channel members, keep an eye out because after this, I'm going to be spilling some stuff for you guys, okay? Now, why don't we get into the Love is Blind France of it all, you guys? Y'all know, I told you, I warned you, you have to watch this. Watch Love is Blind France. France has a lot of really good reality shows. In fact, their version of The Circle was my favorite version of the show. And then they have a lot of other really good shows. They've got their own version of Married at First Sight. They have this like show. Everybody here makes fun of me for watching it, but I don't care. I'm watching it anyway. I love it. It's called L'amour est dans le pré. And so it's a bunch of farmers and they're trying to find love. Like they live like out like in the boonies, very, very rural areas. Some of them are in like the 40s, 50s. They've never had the scent of a woman on their sweater, a hug, an I love you, no nothing from a woman, right? And so the show is trying to match make them with like women, and they're all like just regular, truly regular people, not trying to be on TV or anything. Like this is their only effort because they live in a town of like 100 people type of thing, right? So I love it. So yeah, honestly, a lot of you guys talk to me about wanting to learn French or whatever. So if you're trying to learn French and you're looking for something fun to watch, try Love is Blind France, try Married at First Sight France. So let's get into what happened on the first episode of Love is Blind. I've only watched the first, and I know some of you guys probably haven't watched it yet, so I'm not going to give too much away, let you know who's paired up with who so far. Just some first impressions, okay? So all I've seen, all I want to say so far is there's a girl named Kim, and she's over there on the second row, second person after Charles, right? Charles. And so she is a juriste, which is essentially a paralegal, right? So there's something so fascinating about her because, again, she is a paralegal, and juriste paralegals, they typically make like 50,000, and this is a net income, right? Yet she's super duper decked out in designer things, right? She has, you know how like a Van Cleef pendant necklace with one pendant is what, like $2,000-$3,000 or something? She has them with like the 10 motif, which is like a 10 grand necklace. Then she'll be wearing like a Rolex watch. Then she'll be wearing an Hermes belt. And I'm like, girl, it's not like, what is this? What is your, she's like, yeah, my man has to be super duper. Like, she is all about her money. And I'm really, really curious about like what types of guys she's dated in her past or what exactly it is that she's doing to be wearing these, like, she's always wearing at least $30,000 worth of jewelry, which just does not make sense here. It just does not. Salaries are not matching up to that. You have to be really rich to be doing that, right? So I like a girl who knows what she wants and is unapologetic about it. So I'm watching her closely. She's a very competitive girl. She's caught up in a love triangle with another girl who's really beautiful too, but has less of a materialistic spirit, right? And I got to be honest with you, both of the girls that are pining over this one guy I don't see either of them with this guy because they're into a guy who has more of like an earthy kind of vibe and look to him. I don't know if you guys see this in people or whatnot, but this is what I think some people like visually go together and some don't, right? So they're both into a guy that I don't think, really visually goes with either of them. So I think that's going to be an interesting love triangle to watch unfold. Then there's a guy named Alexandre, and he's over there in the top left-hand corner in the pink turtleneck. I'm not yet sure how I feel about him. My first impression of him is that he seems very sad and he seems like he is hiding a very, very, very big secret that is eating him up inside. I just don't know where to place him. The person I was watching the show with really likes Alexandre and thinks that he's like a great guy and that everything's going to be fine, but I'm not sure. And then who else am I missing here? Chloe. So I really like Chloe. I think she's got a great vibe to her, and I'm really looking forward to seeing how her storyline plays out. Then there's another guy. His name is Charles. And I think that he's just here to try to prove to himself that people can like him, right? He's a very small guy, as you can see from this photo. And so, listen, shorter men are still attractive, right? But typically women prefer taller men, right? And so I think that he has found himself very often overlooked in life because of that. And so here behind the wall, he gets to play up his persona. And so he's talking about all of these sports and stuff he likes. And so he's describing himself as this big fighter, MMA, like boxing, like martial arts, all that stuff. And so when a woman is thinking of that, especially when the hosts of Love is Blind France, one of them is Teddy Reiner, who is the biggest judo star in the world, and he's enormous. And this is the guy that the girls are talking to of the host, right? The Nick Lachey of this. They're thinking that you're going to be his size. So when they kind of get the curtain open and they see this little, 5'3" guy or something like that, they're going to be in for a surprise. And again, I don't think he's authentic with his spirit feelings. He just wants to be chosen, right? Overall, I like Chloe, I like Tatiana, and I like Sarah. Sarah's funny. She's very dry humor. I think a lot of people who do not like women being confident in themselves are going to dislike Sarah. She's always, she's not cocky. She pretends to be cocky. It's humor. And I feel like I get her humor and I really enjoy her banter. So I'm looking forward to that. And I think it's her. It might be her. Yeah, she reminds me of the girl from Love is Blind Habibi. Do you guys remember that? The Dubai one? And there's a girl, Anna, I don't do coffee date. I don't do walking date. I don't do 50-50. That is Sarah to me, right? But like toned down. That girl has Sarah's humor, but then Kim is the serious version of her. Kim is very much, I don't do coffee dates. I don't do 50-50. You're going to be rich if you're going to get with me. This is a business, and that's that, right? Cynthia is another cute girl over there in the top row. third one over. She's going to be played, I think. Again, I'm only one episode in. All I know is that she's already hooked by, a religion. Someone's coming in with this like religion stuff. And I think that a lot of times guys who come in strong with that stuff, they're trying to hook you, make you think that they're this amazing, like, godly, nice, perfect person, but they're going to play you like a fiddle. So I'm concerned for her. Then there's a girl named Julie, absolutely beautiful, but total pick me. And Thomas over there. Listen, he's got two girls hooked on him, but I don't see it. I don't see it for any of those relationships. Let me head over to the live chat, see what y'all had to say about the first episode of Love is Blind France so far. And later on, I'll be coming to you in my playback posse to see what you guys have to say about it, okay? Sorry, you guys, I feel like I blabbed on forever. So let me go ahead and see what y'all said. La, 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 about Love is Blind France. I'm seeing y'all want that. Sweet Bonjour's hollering, we want prenup. We want prenup. Winnie the Cat says, like Farmer wants a wife. That's exactly what it's like. I'm a really, really big fan. Rancher says, I watched LAFS Sweden and I'm still traumatized. What is that, LAFS? What is that? Is that like the L'amour est dans le pré or something like that? Hey, Caroline, can't wait to see you tomorrow, boo. Thanks for joining. Winnie says, love it when you speak French. It's just, well, thank you. I love the language. It's so beautiful and fun. She snaps says, it's Temu shop like a billionaire. Damn. And she says, a friend of mine did Farmer Wants Wife. She wasn't picked, but did meet her now farmer husband. See? These are authentic love relationships, and I love them. I love seeing people like fall in love on TV. I think it's the most beautiful thing. Tyrell says, what's the new French reality show? I'm going to watch it. Love is Blind France, and it's on Netflix, Tyrell. Really, really good. I'm going to watch another episode tonight, so I'll be looking forward to talking about episode 2 with you guys again tomorrow. Winnie the Cat says, my tiny town is surrounded by farms, so I'll always have a spot for the farmer. Listen, I love me a farmer. They just seem so cute. Like, just, I don't know, out there saving the world, nourishing the world, one egg at a time or one jug of milk at a time or something like that. Married at First Sight. Okay, thank you so much, Ramster. Yeah, that's the thing about Married at First Sight. Love is like they attract like more superficial kind of crowd, but then when it comes to the farmer stuff, you get like real pure people who are just there for that, and they're so simple outside of it. Paprika says, everyone who likes prenups, I generally do not understand why you even marry them. Can you just be with someone? Because it's kind of like a life insurance policy, right? Or a home insurance, car insurance. It's just, it's insurance, why have insurance at all? You're not planning to crash your car. You're not planning to, ruin your house, but it's insurance, right? Marriage is not really a permanent thing. You can walk out anytime you want. So just some insurance in case you walk out, in my humble opinion, especially if there are like, big assets at play there. When he says, what's your favorite blind love movie? Movie. I'm trying to think. I don't know. Listen, I just watched War of the Roses and I really like that movie, but I can't think of any other ones off the top of my head, unfortunately. I'm going to have to think about that, boo. Love at First Sight. Yes, it's so good. Listen, I really, really, truly recommend it to you guys. I think you're going to Love is Blind France. Again, the French are really, really good at reality TV. And, hopefully this will be your gateway drug into getting into French reality TV. Anyway, listen, y'all, I've had a really great time chatting with you. Thank you so much for joining me for another episode of the Morning Report. I'm looking forward to being back again tomorrow, bright and early at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time to talk more about the day's hottest stories. If you find yourself enjoying today's episode of the show, please don't hesitate to go ahead and give it a thumbs up so YouTube knows you enjoy my content. Once again, best wishes to you, East Awesome. So sorry for everything you're going through. I'm wishing you a safe flight over to Florida, okay? Take care, you guys, and I'll see you again tomorrow. Bye now.